All right, now let's start the process of setting up Devise for our users, aka podcasts. So let's go over to Chrome and search for rubygems.org. Now that we're here, let's search for Devise. So the Devise gem is one of the most popular Rails authentication systems. You can see it's got 10.7 million downloads. So it's used quite a lot. So it's on version 3.1.4. To begin, we're going to add this to our gem file. So copy the latest to your clipboard, then go to your application. Let's close out of these. Oh, dang it. Go back to the terminal. I'm going to do sublime dot. Okay, now I'm going to open up the gem file. Below the sdoc, I'm going to paste in the Devise gem, save that. Now let's go back to our terminal. I'm going to do a bundle install. Now, let's go back to Ruby Gems, and if you go under links, click on the home page, you'll get taken to the Devise documentation. Let's scroll down a bit, and it tells us how to get started. So we've already added the Devise gem. Next thing we want to do is do the Rails generate Devise install. So let's go ahead and do that. Rails g devise install. So it gives us a few things we need to do. Step 1, ensure you have defined a default URL option in your environments file. This is for the action mailer stuff, which we're not going to be covering in this tutorial. But if you want to go ahead and play with that, I would add this to your config/environment/development.rb. The next one, ensure you have defined a root URL. We have done that. We added the root to, and it's going to the welcome controller index action. We want to make sure you have ensure you have flash messages in your application layout. We do not, so I'm just going to copy these for now. And then let's go to Sublime, and I'm going to search for application HTML. And then this is our application file. And the yield is where every other template gets rendered in. So above the yield, let's add those. Whoops, only copied one. Let's copy the alert as well. So this is for when a user either signs in or signs out and a message is displayed to the user. Like, for example, you have successfully signed in or you have successfully signed out, etc. This is what will display those messages to the user. So we want to make sure that's on every page. So we're putting this in the application layout. Next one, if you're deploying to Heroku with Rails 3.2 only, we're using Rails 4.2, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we are going to customize the Devise views. So we want to copy these over. Let's go ahead and do Rails generate Devise views. And you can see this copies over all of the Devise views into our application. If we go under app views Devise, we now have access to all the forms and such. All right, so let's go back to the documentation. We need to do a generator. Normally we would do Rails generate Devise user, but in our case, a user is going to be a podcast. So what we are going to do is go back to our terminal. Let's clear this. Let's do Rails generate Devise podcast. Make sure you spell it just like this, Rails generate Devise podcast, and then hit enter. And then this creates a migration file. It creates the podcast.rb model and also creates some routes for us as well. So if you want to look at the migration, let's copy this. And I'll do Sublime and then paste that in. And you can see it creates a table with the email, encrypted password, reset password, all that good stuff. So that looks good to me. Let's go back to our terminal and do a rake db migrate. And now this is creating that table and adding it to our schema file. So now that that is done, you can do rake routes. And this will show all the routes that Devise created for us. For example, Devise/registration/new is a new podcast registration. And you can see the URL pattern is podcast/signup. So let's go to that and test it out. go to localhost, and we'll do /podcasts/sign_up. And we get a undefined method devise4. And that is because after we install Devise and set everything up, we have not restarted our server. So let's shut that down by doing Control-C, hit the up arrow, and do Rails S again. Now if we go back, refresh, you can see we get the sign up. And actually some of our styles are already taking effect. It's going 100%. Obviously we don't want that, so we'll clean this up later. But for now, let's just test signing up. I'm going to do mckinsey@unicast.com, enter a password, and we will sign up. So you can see the flash message shows, welcome, you have successfully signed up. And if we go to our Rails console, let's go back to our first terminal, let's do Rails C for the Rails console. And I can do podcast.count. You can see we have one podcast since we just created one. If I do podcast, you can see what the podcast is. ID of an integer, email, string, encrypted password, string, etc. And this was all done for us by Devise. So later we're going to add attributes to the Devise model in order to be able to do things like add a title of our podcast, a description, and all that good stuff. But for now, let's hit Control-D, and let's do a get S. So you can see we've done quite a lot. So I'm going to do get add dot, get status. All right, now let's do a get commit with the message, get commit -am. And what I'm going to do is, and I'm going to add a message of add Devise, add and set up Devise gem. All right, that looks good. So let's go ahead and add some links and make these not static. So in our welcome index file, remember, if we go back to our terminal and do rake routes, we can see the file, or we can see the routes we have created from Devise. For example, to create a new, or to go to the sign up page, we'd use the new podcast registration path. I'm actually going to copy that, and I'll show you how we create a dynamic link. So instead of having a ahref button, we're going to do some embedded Ruby. So we're going to write a link to tag, and this is going to link to create a podcast, just like before down here. And then you do a comma, and then we're going to go to the link, which is going to be new podcast registration, and then we're going to append _path. And then we need to do a comma, and let's add the class from down here. So what we'll do is add class : and then quotes, let's add button and button highlight. And then let's close the embedded Ruby tag. Now if we delete this, go back and refresh, you'll see nothing has changed except if we click on this button. Oh, well, you can see up here, you are already signed in. Devise is smart enough to know that we are already signed in, so it won't let us go to the sign in page. But if I copy localhost and do an incognito by doing Command-Shift-N, paste that in, we're not currently signed in. What I'm going to do is click sign in, and we go to the sign up page. Or click create a podcast, and we'll go to the sign up page. Awesome sauce. So that is all working correctly. The next thing, let's add a link to the sign in. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to change this ahref tag. Let's link to sign in. And instead of new podcast registration path, we're going to go to the new podcast session path. You can see up here. So we'll do session path. And then let's remove this class. Now if we go up and refresh, we can click sign in. We're already signed in, but if we go to localhost in incognito, we'll go to the login page. Awesome. All right, one thing that is bugging me is if you inspect the element up at the top, it has that white bar, and that's because it's showing the P and alert regardless of if there's a message. So let's tweak that. So let's go back to our application template. And what we're going to do is write some conditional Ruby. So if alert, and then close it, we will do the P notice, tab that in. Let's tab it over. Whoops. And then else, we're going to do an else if notice, then we'll show the notice. Whoops, I did that backwards. But I'll just end that real quick and then flip it around. So if it's an alert, we'll show the alert. Else, we will show the notice. Now, if I go back and refresh, since there's currently no alert, it will hide that by default. But say I click sign in again, it will show up. Awesome. So let's close out of that file and the gem file for now. Let's create or copy this create a podcast link and do the same to this link up here, create a podcast. This is all going to be the same, except we're going to remove the class. All right, everything's good. So the next thing I want to do is add a conditional statement to where if a user is signed in, they'll see a sign out path. Otherwise, they'll see the explore, sign in, and create a podcast path. To do that, what we're going to do is under the UL, what we can do is write some conditional Ruby unless the user is signed in. So unless podcast signed _in question mark. Normally we do unless user signed in. We get this from Devise, by the way. But like I said, normally we do user signed in, but instead we created a podcast when we ran the Devise generator. So unless podcast signed in, we will show these links. Else, close that, we will show a link to, let's close that li. We're going to do a link _to. Let's add a sign out link. And this is going to go to the destroy podcast session path. And we're going to do a method of delete and close that. And then we'll do an end. Later, we'll add a link to their dashboard, and well, we also want to show the Explore link as well. So let's add that now. Since we're signed in, we have a link to Explore and sign out. I'm going to add a link to the dashboard just because, even though it won't go anywhere for now. Do href, and let's say dashboard. Refresh. All right, so let's try signing out. So if we successfully signed out, as you can see from that message, and now we see the explore, sign in, and create a podcast. Let's test signing in again. McKinsey@unicast.com. Enter my password, click sign in. Perfect, so everything is set up correctly with Devise. Okay, before we move on, let's do a get status, get s. If you want to see what you've done in your modified files, you can do get diff, and it shows you what you've changed. Hit Q to get out of that, and then I'm going to do get commit-am, say add conditional Ruby to notifications and navigation. Now let's do a get push that up. And finally, let's do a get push Heroku master. So that is now done. If we go over to our Heroku app, Damp Falls 48656.herokuapp.com, I want to show you something real quick. If we go to slash podcasts slash sign underscore up, we'll get, we're sorry, something went wrong. If we do a Heroku logs to check the log files, I thought that would show the error message, but I can't seem to find it. So basically what's happening is we changed the database locally. We did a rakedb migrate to migrate the database to add the Devise model, but we have not done that on Heroku just yet. You have to remember that locally and Heroku, these are two different databases. So to fix that, let's do Heroku run rake db migrate. So now if we go back and refresh, we see the sign up page. And let's test out that it works. I'll do mckinsey@unicast.com and enter my password again, and sign up. Cool, we have successfully signed up. And if we want to confirm that, we can run the console just like we do locally, except we do Heroku run rails C. This takes a bit longer to start up than it does locally. So now that that is done, let's do a podcast.count. And we can see one, let's do podcast. Let's do @podcast equals podcast.last. The first ID of one, email is mckinsey@unicast.com. Password is encrypted. And then it gives us all the other information. So everything is good to go. So in the next video, we are going to customize Devise and add various attributes to our podcast model.